to Into the Spotlight with Osaka Jack on Everfree Network. Hello everyone, this is Osaka Jack with Into the Spotlight on Everfree Network. With me today I have someone you're probably familiar with his work. You've probably seen him if you've gone to conventions that are able to get people. Mr. M.A. Larson, hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing just great. How are you doing?
A little early for me still, admittedly, but
yeah,
doing okay.
You're a full night's cycle ahead of me.
Yep. I'm already
tomorrow morning.
Friday.
Yeah.
It looks pretty nice. A little cloudy. Kind of overcast, but a decent day.
Any news from the future?
Well, we haven't cured anything new yet.
Okay.
Things are a little bit more expensive. Politicians a little bit more corrupt. Trains are a little bit later, and everybody's a little bit more accepting of all of it. But yeah, other than that, it's good.
The future is looking good.
I gotta wear shades. I hope you were setting me up for that reference because
yeah, of course.
Yay, good.
The future is bright.
And it's only getting better. Well, usually I do a question of who are you, what do you do, and you could give a little blurb if you would like, but I think most people at this point are vaguely familiar with what you've done so far.
I write cartoons. That's why I'm here.
Well, among other things, you write cartoons.
Yes.
You write, shall we say.
Yes.
Yeah. But is there any amusing anecdote about how you got started in Ponies specifically, or was it just a job?
It was a job, and it was a job I didn't want, but it paid money.
Yep, those are the best type.
I was working at Disney Channel at the time I had a staff job on a show called Kick Buttowski Suburban Daredevil.
Okay, I vaguely remember it, yeah.
And my boss, bizarrely, was Chris Savino, who wrote 2 season 1 My Little Pony episodes.
Right, okay.
But that's just a coincidence.
Okay.
So then I was a friend of mine who I'd worked with on my very first show put me on to the fact that Lauren had this pony show and was looking for writers. And so I managed to get some freelance on that show at the exact same time. I got freelance on another show called Symbionic Titan at Cartoon Network.
Right.
So I got both those jobs at the exact same time. And my agent told me not to use my real name on My Little Pony because most of my credits were action-y and kind of boy-oriented.
Right.
And he and I both thought that Symbionic Titan had the possibility to be huge because it's created by Gendy Tartakovsky, who Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack.
He's a big deal.
Oh yeah,
and it was a very cool idea, and it was different from a lot of shows on TV because it was serialized.
Right. Okay.
And it was a fun idea. Excuse me. It was about these 3 aliens who their planet was attacked, and so they fled to Earth, where they had to blend into high school. So it was like John Hughes with aliens. It was very cool. And then, of course, a giant fighting robot and stuff like that.
It's kind of a 21 Jump Street meets Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
That's right. That's what it was. So I got these jobs at the same time, and I decided, with my agent's advice, to use my initials as a pseudonym on Pony because it's so girly, and it's not something I was excited to work on.
Right.
Because I knew it from the 80s. It was me and my brother. Me and my brother growing up, and we hated everything to do with My Little Pony, having never seen it.
Right.
So I was not super excited. I was excited to work with Lauren because I'd worked with her before. But the subject matter did not really thrill me.
That's a general response to most of the people that I've spoken to, fans and staff alike, was originally, really? Pony?
Yes, that's right. I was embarrassed to tell my wife that I got the job.
Oh, my.
Yes.
But it changed around.
It sure did, yeah. The Symbionic Titan lasted 1 season.
Which is a shame. That one should have lasted longer, quite honestly.
It is a shame. But, everybody likes to rag on Hasbro because of the toy selling element of it. The single reason Symbionic Titan got canceled after 1 season is because they couldn't make toys out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a double-edged sword.
Yep.
you want something that they can make toys out of because
Hmm.
that'll feed the cartoon longer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that keeps it going for the early years. I mean, I highly doubt a show like Cheers would survive in today's world.
Yeah, yeah. The things don't get a lot of time to
Mm.
find their footing.
Yep.
Although I will say that's kind of changing, maybe more with dramas.
Oh, that's good.
But if you watch, a lot of the new HBO, Showtime, AMC, a lot of these new series, they do actually get a little bit more time to find their footing, which is
That's
really
good.
good.
That's
Yeah,
good. I have a general rule on sitcoms is that I never watch them until the second season.
yeah,
Just because I think the entire first season is people going beyond, okay, we have this idea of a wacky neighbor, write him as wacky, and then they start to add personality when writers and directors and actors and everybody starts creating the character.
that's right. And I think you can see that on Pony if you watch the pilot.
Yes, very true.
It feels a little different from the rest of the show because it's all being figured out as you
Right.
go.
Hmm. It's
Um,
still solid,
yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, it's a big difference between the early part of the first season and what we have now.
right. Yeah, it's evolution.
And not just because of actual physical changes in the characters.
That's right. In some cases.
Right, yes. 1 out of 6 so far, but we're working on it. We're working on it.
Oh, that's right. You haven't seen season 5 yet.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, wait. See, I think it would be hilarious if all of the writers just, every one of them on Twitter decided to accidentally spoil different parts of season 5.
Yeah.
Like everybody had a different storyline that they accidentally spoiled, and none of them were correct.
Well, that happens. That happened on April Fool's Day.
Oh, yes, that's right.
But what Megan does, part of her deviousness, is she
Hmm.
mixes. It's like The Exorcist. She mixes real plot lines with fake ones. So
Yep.
you never know until after the season what was true and what wasn't.
I actually remember that post that she did, and yeah, looking back on it now, there are things like we meet Pinky's sister, and
Yeah, there were some that were true.
yep. I remember that a lot of them were true, and now it's to the point where I almost can't keep following Megan when the season is happening just because I hate spoilers so much.
I know. Well, I don't know what to do about that. It annoys me that the 100th episode is coming up early in season 5, and there's
Oh no.
already a bunch of stuff out there about it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not confirming if it's true or not, but it's just like,
Right.
come on, let's just like let it air.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I already know that when that one is coming up for
Hmm.
weeks in advance, it's going to be spoiled to high heaven, and there
Dear.
won't be anything left for anybody to really
Now,
discover when it airs.
I insist this, and I know that on Twitter you put the anti-spoiler bunker, which I appreciate. That's a
Yes.
great thing. I, in my experience, and if anybody out there is one of these people that I haven't found, please let me know. But I have not found anybody who disliked the season 3 opener and did not watch the spoiler.
Wait, so who disliked?
Everybody that I spoke to that did not watch the spoiler enjoyed the season 3
Ah,
opener.
gotcha. Yeah, the spoiler, which was what, 8 minutes long?
Longer than that, it was like 15 of the
Jeez.
45.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's no question. Like, expectation has so much to do with it, and when you don't watch spoilers and you don't do all that, you don't have any expectation.
Mhm.
A good example is there's a movie out here. I don't know if it's there, but it's called Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. And
I don't think it's out yet. I'm not
have you heard
sure.
of it?
I've heard a little bit about people talking about it.
I didn't know anything about it. I had seen the poster, but I didn't know the first thing about it. I actually
Hmm.
thought it was a superhero movie when I went to it.
Like one of the X-Men?
Yeah,
That's what I think on the title, but yeah, okay.
it's got that title,
Hmm.
and I loved it. I loved that movie so much because I was just taken for a ride. I had no idea what was coming,
Interesting.
and I'm a firm believer in going in as cold as you possibly can. I know it's fun to watch trailers and spoilers and things, but how different would it have been? I don't know, but how different would it have been at the end of season 3 if wings weren't out in the atmosphere for a full month before the episode aired?
Yeah, that would have been just like, wow, she's got wings now. And some
Yeah,
people would have been like, oh, I don't like this change, and others would have been like, huh, okay.
it just
But
it blew,
would have
it blew my
shocked.
mind when I remember where I was, and this was years ago. I was in the library and I started getting all these tweets, And I looked at what it was, and I was like, oh my God, they've just spoiled like the biggest moment of the episode.
Mhm. Yep.
Just here it is. Watch
I
this Sunday.
I have I have a distinct advantage at times. I use a lot of different media when I'm teaching English, and Pony's a good one. So I get to watch, students' reactions to the first meeting of Discord or first reveal that Nightmare Moon was Luna, or et cetera, et cetera. Not related to Pony, but actually today I have a student, and she loves action movies, but she hasn't seen a lot of the classic ones. She has not seen Terminator 2 yet.
Hmm.
And we're just starting this. If you have never seen any of the previews to Terminator 2, you do not know which character is the Terminator in the
Yes.
beginning of the movie until Arnold says, "Get down."
Yes. And how amazing is that?
It's going to blow her mind. I know
Yeah.
that.
There's so many of those moments where once you know it, you'll never be able to watch it the same way again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you just are you a Game of Thrones fan?
I have not seen any of it yet.
Okay, well, I'm not going to spoil anything. There's
No,
something that happens that is monumental, and for some miraculous reason, the world didn't spoil it.
that's good.
And I've never been as floored as I was by this hour of television. And it was the most magical experience, and I just felt bad for anybody who had that spoiled in advance.
That would be. I mean, technically they could read the books, but still, I'm sure
Yes,
from what I gather, not looking into specifics, even if you had read the books, it was still a very pleasant experience.
absolutely.
They had done a good job on it.
Did you see Skyfall?
I did not. I listened to the song, and I'm missing out on a lot of American media recently. It's like there's this list of, oh man, I gotta watch that. Oh, I really need to watch that.
You really should watch Skyfall. It's pretty
Okay.
fantastic.
All right.
And I'm not going to say anything, but there's a pretty big thing that happens, and I knew it in advance. It had been spoiled for me. And so I watched the entire movie thinking, okay, when is this going to happen? I know this is going to happen, so when is it going to happen? And it totally changes the way you view something.
Right. Yeah.
But we're also dealing with children's television where the goal of the network is to draw viewers.
Yes. Yeah.
And kids don't necessarily care about spoilers and things like that. So I understand why it happens. It's just kind of a bummer.
I think the first few seasons I wasn't able to watch it on the live stream, watch it live as it were, but I was able to for season 4, and it would really disappoint me when they would cut to commercials. They would show like little things about the end of the episode that we're watching right now.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, great. Now I know how Spike saves everybody by blowing fire onto the ice thing that's falling from the sky, which is going to happen in 8 minutes. Really? Yeah. 8 minutes? You couldn't wait.
But that's the thing is when you're dealing with little kids, that stuff doesn't really matter.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Very true.
So it's a shame, but it's...
Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. I would say it doesn't hurt. It doesn't affect them as much. But no. I have seen the video of the dad showing Star Wars to his kids for the first time, and them seeing "I am your father" for the first time. Their jaws were just on the floor. That's his dad, just going nuts over it.
Yeah, and then there's ways to create a compelling clip or commercial or trailer or whatever without spoiling things. There are ways to do it. There's ways to get you interested in viewing something without giving it all away.
Absolutely. I was actually a big fan of the recent Star Wars preview because it didn't give away anything, but I was like, ooh, I'm kind of interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the only trailer.
Oh, no, I know.
That movie's a year away, so there will be plenty spoiled before.
I know.
But I agree. Like that particular trailer, if that was the only one they showed, I think that would benefit the movie.
Oh yes, I agree. I actually saw a group called Glove and Boots, which I find hilarious on YouTube. They redid a trailer for Empire Strikes Back as if it were done today.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a minute and a half, and it tells every single thing that happens. It's hilarious because it like ends with "Come see Empire Strikes Back" to watch them standing out the window at the end. Oh wait, I even spoiled that. Dang it.
That's the way it is. It's really no good.
Yeah.
What did I just saw? I just saw a trailer Oh, I can't remember what it
I
was.
have
I
a
just saw
distinct
trailers like,
advantage in that I don't have American television. So
right.
trailers for movies, if they're coming out here, they've already been released in America, and I already know enough to avoid them. So as long as I don't specifically look things up online, I don't have to see them between my shows.
Right. Right.
Which is
Yeah,
great.
that's fantastic. That makes it much easier to enjoy something cold.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to see an example of a trailer or clip or whatever that does it really well, there's a movie coming out soon called American Sniper.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood's new movie.
Ah, gotcha.
And the trailer is out of this world. It gets you so
Right.
invested in this story, but it doesn't tell you anything. It's
I
just
like
awesome.
that.
I highly recommend hitting up YouTube and checking out the American Sniper trailer. It's
I will check
fantastic.
that one. Okay. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but Twitter, I don't think you were the first of staff. You weren't the first of staff to get on Twitter, but you were one of the early ones.
I think I was. I don't remember who was on before me. There were definitely people on before
Well,
me.
I'm pretty sure Sibsy was the first.
Yes.
I mean, at the very least, DeviantArt, she was the first. But yeah, I distinctly remember being on my lunch break, and Full Papers was on his Italian vacation, and you were up late, and three of us doing tweets back and forth during my lunch break.
Yeah, in various parts of the day,
Yeah,
various parts of the world. Twitter is cool like that.
it really is. It really is.
So is Skype, by the way. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, here you are about to experience a massive thunderstorm.
right.
And I'm sitting in the middle of a cloudy, overcast day and 6,800 miles apart, and we have maybe a 0.15 millisecond clip there, but
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
It's cool. And it's not costing us a penny.
Exactly, yeah.
Love it.
Though I will say, Skype is pretty terrible if you want to sing along with somebody.
Oh, is that right?
It's the only time where you really notice the gap in sending things, because you start singing something and they come in like an eighth of a second later, and you're like, no, you're too slow. And they're like, you're too slow.
That would be really frustrating. Let's not do that.
Okay,
let's not
cross
sing
that
it.
off. No Larson karaoke. Okay.
I have sang before at the very first convention I went to. Karaoke, I sang, but
Yep, that's actually on YouTube.
I know. No, don't say that.
Everybody find the link right here. Okay.
They pulled one down for me. I asked them to pull one down.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Because I did Anarchy in the UK.
Okay.
By the Sex Pistols, but I did it as Anarchy in Equestria. And I said a lot of really off-color things about Princess Celestia.
Gotcha.
Okay. And after the fact, I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't do that as a staff member. So they pulled it off.
That's nice. I'm hoping that the SSSS 5000 is still up, though.
I think it is, yeah. That was embarrassing, too, because I didn't know the words.
I think that's actually a good point that a lot of people forget, is that we're still a few months away from seeing the season, but you guys are done.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why they're waiting so long to do it.
Hopefully there's a reason, and it's not just, hold on, wait. Watch him squirm. Wait. Just hold on.
Yeah.
Just wait. Look at what they're saying on Twitter. They really hate us. Okay, come on. A little bit more.
Well, I think it's a bad idea. I think it's good to get things out as quickly as you can, because people will lose interest. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen with this community.
Right.
But there's a show called Mad Men. I don't know if you watch that.
Familiar with it, yeah.
Mad Men they deliberately take a year and a half between each season, and you really do just kind of lose interest, and then it comes back and you're like, who's that and why do I care? And
yeah,
this is a little bit different because you know who all the characters are.
That's true.
And there's plenty of fan content to fill the void.
Yeah, very true.
But I just don't understand why. Last I heard was March of next year, which is crazy.
Well, I know they've officially said spring, but that's, I think, the last official word on that.
Insane. I finished my part of season 5 in April.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't know. Madness.
Well, and really, I mean, I don't think it's something that a lot of them think about, but technology even advances to an insane point in that waiting period.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago, I had just started Twitter and, let's
Right.
follow all these people. And I would still have to refresh my feed to see, has anybody tweeted yet?
Right.
Now I'm
Yes.
like, all right, I've got to stop following a few dozen people because I can't keep up with any of this.
I
And
know.
the
I
technology is just
know. So
exploding.
Twitter is, when you create who you follow, you have to be very careful, because
Mm-hmm.
if you have too many, then it becomes not useful anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
Um,
had people say, well, you can just mute me. I'm like, if I'm muting you, what's the point of following you?
right.
If it,
Right.
if I have to follow somebody for a contact for a job or for Japan PonyCon, that makes sense. And I can
Yeah.
understand if they want to mute me, then sure. I can still send you direct messages. That's fine. But the point of Twitter is you listen to or read who you want to. And if you're not doing that, then why are you following them?
Right. 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 Yeah, that's right.
That's how I see it. But then I'm an old coot who just don't understand these newfangled technologies.
I'll tell you what, the one I don't understand at all, and I've tried it twice now. I've been on and gone off, and now I'm on it again, but I still don't get it. It's Instagram. I don't get it. I know that's the hot one. That's the big one. Everybody's doing Instagram now, but I don't understand it. To me, it's just a fussier version of Twitter.
Seems to be that seems to be what I get. I
I
don't
don't
know.
get it.
I guess if you're a big fan of experimenting with filters on your photos, okay. But
Yeah.
if
And it's stressful to me that you constantly have to have a picture of something. What if I just want to make a joke or just want to say, hey, check this out?
yeah,
Why does it have to, why do I have a picture for everything?
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Now I'm the old coot. So I
I think
have an,
everybody's waiting for a Larson Vine account to open.
yeah,
Quite
there is
frankly.
one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I have a Vine account that I think I've done one video,
Okay.
and I have an Instagram account that I don't ever tell anybody about. I have a Facebook fan page that I don't really use. Twitter to me is plenty, It's like I don't know why I need all these other ones.
I would agree. I mean, if I ever got to the other items, I do have Vine, but I just link it to Twitter, and I rarely check in with the Vine itself. So,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm sure mine is linked, but I've only ever made one of them. So
yeah. Well, something I'd like to mention just real fast is, and it is related. It is related. I'm not going off a complete tangent here. Your OC, it has become the Bat Pony.
yes,
Wasn't originally that. It was a unicorn, and the cutie mark. Well, can you describe people what is the cutie mark on this
the
guy?
current cutie mark is the Alfred Hitchcock silhouette, the famous silhouette that he walks into at the beginning of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, an old TV show. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Hitchcock fan, and so I was like, what would my cutie mark be? I don't know. So what was that? I've had 3 or 4 different OCs.
Yeah.
And sometimes conventions will just make one for me, or I've spoken to people on Twitter and they're like, hey, what do you think of this? And I said, oh, that's cool. I'll use that. But the Bat Pony, I hadn't seen Bat Pony OCs when I wanted to do that one. So I was like, all right, I'll just do that. And it also followed this big Twitter conversation I had had with Lauren and other people about Bat Ponies. Somebody had asked me about the races. There's 3 races, so what is a Bat Pony? And I replied like I had always assumed they were their own species, but that's for Lauren to say, not me. And she replied and said she agreed.
Yeah.
So then it led to this whole discussion about Bat Ponies, which was very funny. And then let's be a Bat Pony. That's cool.
Well, I mean, it was something that you wrote that introduced the Bat Ponies.
Yes, in the script it says that they looked like, they didn't do this obviously, but I said that they looked like like thestrals from Harry Potter.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's in the script.
Ah, okay. See, personally, I would have liked it if they had done that, just because I'm curious if the shadow bolts actually exist, and that would have been a good way to lead into that.
Totally. Absolutely.
Because Shadowboat's cutie mark is a horse skull with wings.
There you go. That's it. Oh, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, well.
You're bumming me out. Although I am in the past. Maybe I can fix this.
You got 17 hours. All right.
We got to pull seasons 2, 3, and 4.
I'll start running counterclockwise across the earth until it spins in the reverse direction. And oh, but something I'm sorry, I just got to mention it real fast though. Long ago on Twitter, you had just done, well, what should my cutie mark be? And I suggested Hitchcock's silhouette.
Is that right?
Yep, that was me.
No kidding.
Yep.
Well, you were spot on because that's like,
Woo!
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's like, of course, that's what it should be. What else would it be?
Well, I think you had just like retweeted a bunch of Hitchcock pictures and things, and it was fresh in my mind. And then you asked, I'm like, well, yeah, this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Woohoo! Yay! I helped. Okay.
You did help because otherwise I would have ended up with something lame like a heart or a cat. I don't know.
A leafed script in the shape of a heart. That's not bad, actually. That'd be okay.
No, it's got to be Hitchcock.
No, just a depressed face of the symbiotic titan.
Yes. Red canceled stamp over it. I wrote 3 scripts that never got produced for that show.
Oh.
Such a shame.
Oh, man.
I liked that show a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can foresee, probably not anytime soon, but I can foresee a time far in the future where you will be contacted by people. We just discovered this show. Is there anything you ever made that never released? Because we're looking to animate some things as a fan project. And you'll go like, well, here you go, man.
Oh, yeah. I keep everything. I keep everything. I have every draft of everything.
Good.
Because you just never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a My Little Pony script that will never be made, that I've written the entire thing.
Save that for when the whole thing's over, you auction it off to highest bidder, you retire on the savings.
In fact, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I do own it. I don't know if they ever paid me for it.
Oh, interesting.
I could do that. Anyhow.
Something to consider. I know that, I think it's just hilarious, but I know that Charlotte Fullerton has, in the past, she'll take her script to a convention that she's invited to, and that's her autograph page.
Mm-hmm.
She'll like autograph a page, give you a page of it. Autograph a page, give you a page of it.
Yes. Amy Kidding Rogers does that, and Cindy does that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, oh, that's so cool. And then part of me is like, those scripts will never be whole again.
You just print another one. No problem.
Yeah, I guess so. But we like to imagine it's original, written on papyrus, and just...
Right. Yes, those are not what they're handing out. I'll tell you that. I don't want to burst any bubbles, but...
You could write a script for a horror movie where an unspeakable evil is finally satiated, but can never be destroyed. And so in order to make sure that it never gets together again, you form a group of collectors and rabid fans, and you give each of the best ones one piece of this evil entity.
I like it.
Knowing that these collectors will never agree to share each other's items.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
The collection will never be complete.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to do that. That'll be the series finale of MLP.
Excellent. Woohoo! Elements of Harmony split up among the fans.
Yes,
I got
that's
a
right.
shard!
That's right.
I got a shard! Let me see it. No, never!
There it is. It's all coming together.
Excellent.
As soon as we hang up, I'm going to pitch this.
I'm trying to think of a joke to relate the word shard with the word shart, but it's not coming up. So.
Well, we have plenty of time to develop that joke, so don't worry.
Yeah. They said, what, another 8 years before they release season 6 or something? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It just keeps moving. Oh, new press release. Now it's going to be 2017.
Oh, dang it.
Just came through.
Oh, well.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
There's a gift set that I saw released recently, and it's of Mark Hamill speaking right after Empire was filmed. And he's talking about how he's so grateful to George for giving him such a great thing. And George has asked me if, eventually I'd like to play an older version of a mentor who's guiding the new generation when, like, episode 7 comes out. And I said, well, when will that be, George? He said, 2011.
Wow.
It's hilarious because it's pretty close.
Yeah, not too far off.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yep. Well, something that you've done recently that's gotten a lot of attention as well as Pennyroyal Academy.
It's got a lot of attention because I will not stop tweeting about it.
True, yes, but I know that it's actually a really good piece of work as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm using some kind of flaw in Japan's legal pre-ordered book system. I actually got mine a week before anybody else, including...
That was unbelievable. You had it before I did.
Yep.
You tweeted me a picture of the book, and it was the first time I saw it.
Oh, man. It happens a lot, actually, if I pre-order a book. I don't know, I think like Amazon Japan isn't clear on the don't release this until this day thing.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because I have a box of them here.
Mm.
I saved one box. I didn't open it, just wanted to save like a box of the first editions, but it says it's printed on the box like do not open until October 7th, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Call this number for violations, and it's like it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
You can be violated for this, but apparently in Japan.
Well, I mean, I know I got your book a week and a half early. Every time GM Barrow comes out with a new book, I get it before she does.
No kidding.
Every single time, yeah.
Wow.
I don't
That's
get
great.
the comics before anybody else, and that's disappointing. But
it's because you're in the future.
There we go. Yep, I'm in the future.
That explains it.
We actually tried to. It didn't work out just because of the tremendous cost available, but I had gotten Amy Keating Rogers' Journal of the Two Sisters before it had been released. And she was attending a convention that weekend. And we were like, you know what? If I overnight this to you, you'll be able to sign and give out a copy of the book before it's available to be purchased.
Oh, my God.
It didn't work out just because of the phenomenal cost of overnighting something from here.
I can't imagine.
But, yeah, it was like several hundred. Like, no.
But just the fact that it's possible is crazy.
Well, I mean, at this point, if I plan ahead, if I get a box ready and sealed with just regular airmail, once the book arrives, I can put it in and send it off immediately, and it would arrive in America before they could order it, before they could get it.
Yeah. Oh, that's nuts. That is nuts.
But no, I know that you've spoken of the origin of this story and how it was originally supposed to be something completely different.
Very different, yes.
You had originally intended it to be sort of a parody.
Yes, it was a cartoon. I had gotten my first job in animation after I moved to Los Angeles, and I was very, very new to the world. I didn't really watch much animation, and I didn't really know much about it. But a friend of mine was an animator, storyboard artist, Cartoon Network, and got me onto this show there. And when you're an animation writer, and it's true with any discipline in an animated television production, you're living in constant fear and terror because the season you can see as soon as you get hired, you can see the end of the season.
Right.
And all you're thinking is, oh my God, what am I going to do next? This is going to be over soon.
Yeah,
I'm going to be out on the streets. So it's just a constant state of fear.
Right.
And I got hired midway through season 3 of this show.
Okay.
And so I only had a few months before I was feeling that terror.
Right.
Then it luckily got picked up for season 4, so I had a reprieve. But everybody I was talking to was telling me the only way to have any kind of real success or longevity or to really kind of break through is to have your own show.
Okay.
So I started thinking of ideas for shows, and I hate pitching more than anything. It's the worst. Pitching is where you just go into a room with executives and you just do a song and dance, and you tell them your story, but you have to really sell it to them and form the characters. And I've had executives tell me that people will come in costumes that they've made, like full costumes of their characters. It's crazy what people do.
I can understand why, but at the same time, I'm be like, okay, why are you dressed like this?
Right.
This is what the cosplay of my stuff would look like if it gets picked up.
Yeah, well, that's it. And the executives, who told me this was to keep it in the Pony family. I pitched to Craig McCracken, who's Lauren Faust's husband.
Right, okay.
He was running a program at Cartoon Network that was supposed to be like an incubation thing for new ideas.
Okay.
Nothing ever came of this program, but he was in charge of it.
Right.
So the first person I ever pitched to was Lauren's husband.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And it was a show. It was called Bruce's Amazing Vacation Machine.
Okay.
It was about a little boy who hates summer vacation because all of his friends go off and have these fun adventures, and he's stuck in his small town
Ah, okay.
working at his grandparents' soap museum.
Okay.
It was the most boring thing in the planet. So he with his cat develops this machine where you can go inside and have any vacation known to man, and
Ah, okay.
hijinks ensue.
Right, right.
And so this is the first idea I ever came up with. I wrote like a 10-page thing. I had Chris Savino again, the guy that
Mhm.
wrote Ghostbusters and
Right.
one other season 1 episode. I had him do a little art for me. He drew some character designs, and I
Mhm.
pitched it to Craig. The pitch went great.
Oh, good.
I had a lot of drinks before I did it. It went really well. Craig was like, "I love this. Change some things." He was kind of developing it with me.
Right.
Um, but that was my first taste of like, oh, you can come with an idea and present it to somebody and maybe they'll buy it. They didn't buy it. Nobody bought it.
Ah.
Never got made. But after that, I started coming up with more. And then I went over and pitched to Disney
Mhm.
and I pitched to Nickelodeon. And one of the ideas that I had was called Princess Boot Camp.
Mhm.
And the idea came when I was working on the show at Cartoon Network. I was walking back from the bank and I was thinking about Princess Peach from Mario Kart.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know why. Just thinking about her. And I was like, oh, that's weird. She's a princess. I've never really thought about that.
Mhm.
So then I just started thinking, what if she knows all the other princesses, like Cinderella?
Mhm.
And at that point, I was like, everybody, like Princess Diana
Right.
and Mononoke and Zelda. And like,
Mhm.
what if all the princesses that we know all live in the same place?
Oh man, San would be the worst attendee ever for that. Oh, she brought the whole family. What are they doing here? Come on now. Sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
Then I don't even remember how it happened, but it morphed into what if it's a camp where they learn a boot camp, like a training
Sure.
military camp where they learn to become princesses. And then I sort of threw away all the proper names of the princesses,
Mhm.
and then it was just Princess Boot Camp. It was like this is where girls train to become princesses in a hardcore military setting,
Right.
and it was a total parody of the Disney princess culture and the really
Mhm.
pink princess thing that exists.
Essentially, the quintessential view that everybody has of Pony before they watch it.
Exactly right. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I pitched this, and it got optioned, and we developed it for a while. Nothing ever came of it, but I developed it for quite a while. And finally, I got the rights back, and didn't really think much of it. But a friend of mine suggested writing it as a book, which had never occurred to me.
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Oh, I like that idea." I always wanted to write books. Before I got into film and TV, I wanted to write books.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was, in a way, it's sort of returning to what I wanted to do originally.
Mhm.
And then I read a book, totally coincidentally, called "The Uses of Enchantment," which
Okay.
is it was written in the 70s by this guy called Bruno Bettelheim, who's a psychoanalyst. He's like a disciple of Sigmund Freud's.
Okay.
And this particular book talks about a psychological examination of the Grimm's fairy tales.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
Why it's important for kids to read the dark, bloody, violent, scary Grimm's fairy tales as opposed to the really sanitized modern version.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
And it was fascinating. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like the dark elements of these fairy tales are really important,
Oh yeah.
psychologically speaking, to a kid's development.
Hmm. There's a oh gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head. It might be C.S. Lewis, but the quote was, "Kids do not read fairy tales to know that dragons exist. They know dragons exist. Fairy tales exist to let us know that dragons can be conquered."
Yes, that's exactly it. That's this guy's point. He's
Mm.
saying virtually every Grimm's fairy tale ends with happily ever after.
Yeah.
But before you get there, you go through these crazy, dark, scary, violent things.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the point is, a kid will read this, experience these negative emotions in a safe way through
Yeah.
pages, and then realize you come out the other side okay. So they learn all these coping skills, exactly what you're talking about.
Right. Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have any of that in mind because it's just a parody. It's just jokes, it's just
Right.
gags.
Right.
But I wanted to add that kind of depth because I thought I was so fascinated by it.
Mm.
So I made my story much older and I tried to scrape out as much parody as I could. And in fact, in the years since then, it just kept getting older and older and older. And more serious, I guess, is the way. I mean, there's still funny stuff in it, I hope,
Oh yes, absolutely. I would agree.
but it's more sophisticated, I guess. It's not like a one-dimensional parody.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's sort of more going on for the characters, and they go through these dark things.
Yeah.
I really wanted that Grimm's fairy tale feel.
Right. Well, there's a great quote a little bit later in the book, and I promise no spoiling. But let's see. I've trained the best princesses ever to wear the crown, and all of them, to a woman, had horrible things happen in their lives. Truly awful things that made them doubt themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just summing up Grimm's fairy tales, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does end more positive. You're not a victim in this world unless you choose to be, and if that's your choice, then you'll never be more than a frightened girl lost in the woods. But the nature of choices is that there is always another.
Yeah, I mean the main character in this book, if you look at the basic psychology of the book, it's about a girl. I don't want to spoil anything either.
I think we can do vague details at this point because it has been out for a while.
I can just do it, right? I can just say it.
Yeah.
Screw
Spoilers
it.
are coming up right now.
Yeah.
If you don't want to say it, sorry.
Okay, so it's a girl who has spent her entire life raised by dragons, and then discovers through recovering her memories that, oh wait, they were my adopted family, and it's actually here. There's a lot of, you got to take a lot of it with a grain of salt, and it's very fairy tale that she would actually think she's a dragon.
Right. Well, I mean, what I got from writing it, she knew she was different.
Yes.
And she knew that she didn't have wings and wasn't as large as her sister, and etc. But she didn't know that was odd.
Yeah.
From her point of view is like, well, doesn't every family of dragons have one person that's just different?
Well, and I've spoken. I'm not adopted myself, but I've spoken to a lot of child psychologists about adoption, and it is the sensation of you kind of know something's different, and as you get older, it only becomes more and more pronounced. And that's what's happening with her, is like as she gets older, as her sister gets older, it's just becomes impossible to deny this anymore.
Right.
And so this book is about this girl who, when it starts, it's very elemental. Like in this book, The Uses of Enchantment, one of the things I read was the enchanted forest in these stories represents confusion and turmoil, and you come out of the enchanted forest and you've learned something about yourself.
Gotcha.
So I read that and I was like, well, I'll start in the enchanted forest.
Yep,
that's what I did. Very first chapter, there she is in the enchanted forest. She doesn't know who she is, and she's just, if you reorder the book into chronological order, she's just seen another human being for the first time.
Yeah,
it was a picture of a human being, but it's the first time she's ever seen something that looks like her. And that's the moment where we meet her. So she's in the forest, which is a world of confusion and turmoil. And over the course of the book, she's discovering how to merge these two sides of her personality. She's not trying to deny that she's got these dragon elements or that she's a human.
Right.
She just wants to merge them into one unified personality. And that's what the ending represents, where she has the dragon scale, which is from one father, picture of her other father inside of it. And she just, puts it around her neck and has merged these two sides of herself and is comfortable with it.
Well, I think,
and what better place for an adolescent to learn who they are than a training academy? You know what I mean? It's like the perfect metaphor for self-discovery.
Well, I think something, and obviously I know you can't answer this, but we've created the 4 factions of the world in here. We've got princesses, knights, dragons, and witches. And it's implied that, as far as anybody knows, only princesses and knights work together. And that the witches are against everybody else, and they destroy dragons as well. Witches can only be born from dragons.
Right.
But, so, and witches are essentially starting to win, which is bad for everybody. But we have this one character who is going to be a princess, who has been born of a knight and raised with a dragon. So she, in my mind, she is the culmination of the remaining 3 sides together, which is how they can defeat the witches.
Well, that's
and
right.
The other person in her academy was an attempt to be the actual opposite of that. A witch girl attempting to be a princess and raised by a knight, which would be 3 other sides of the factions.
Yes.
Trying to bring evil balance to the force. I mean, wait. Oh, hold on.
No, you're right.
Woohoo! Okay.
I think that's like spot on. That was the idea, was to have her sister be a mirror image of her, like a funhouse distortion of her.
Right.
But that they can actually relate because of that.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some criticism of, oh, this is such a stereotype. Here's the stereotypical mean girl, and here's the stereotypical this, and a lot of that is intentional. Like
Yeah.
when you first meet her sister, yeah, you're supposed to think, oh my God, this is such a stereotype, and then
Mhm.
by the end, you're like, oh, here's why.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Something I did like on her, again, spoiler alert, sorry guys, but something I did like on meeting the sister is that when she had destroyed Evie's dress, she was just sitting there like, I don't know why I do this.
Yeah,
I don't want to do this. I want to be nice, and I can't.
yeah, and
Like, even she
that's
is
the idea.
just
She
like,
doesn't know why.
yeah, which
She
is,
knows, like, I do messed up things, but I can't explain why I do them until the end of the book. We're like, oh, that's why.
well, and even you come full anti-circle there, because Evie starts in the forest and comes out and becomes a person, and this sister has started in her own little castle, and by the end of the book goes into the forest.
Goes into the forest, right? Right. And
Woo!
in exactly the same place Evie is, where she doesn't know who she is. She's just learned.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Evie has just seen a human for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Melora has just learned that she's a witch
Yep.
as she heads into the forest. So it is an inversion of the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We get an infinity symbol going and coming and going and coming, and yin yang. There is evil inside good and good inside evil. Okay.
I had a guy tweet me saying, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something like, for my money, the most interesting character in the second book is not going to be Evie. It's going to be Melora.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree. I find her so tragic,
Yeah.
what's happened to her, and
Mhm.
why the realizations, like the dominoes that fall after she realizes who she really is.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, and Evie feels that and sees that at the end.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and I
So
think, I mean, a lot of people speak of the hero story, which relates to so many of our great stories. You know, the hero and he meets Shadow and etc. Not, I honestly believe that we have, I don't know a better name for it, but the sequel to the hero story focuses on the
yeah,
bad guy,
right, right,
because we've seen the hero arise and become more, and now the sequel, to be a good sequel, should focus on how has the bad guy arrived at where they are.
right. Well, if you are you familiar with Wicked?
Yes, yes I am.
Wicked is a beautiful story of how the Wicked Witch became the Wicked Witch,
Mm-hmm.
and the psychology of that story is so fascinating. And the whole time, it's like your heart is breaking as you're watching it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because you can just see these little things happening
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to this character, and you know where she's going to end up.
Yep.
And it's just magical. I loved Wicked. I just saw it for the first time, I think, last year, so I'm
Oh
way
wow.
behind.
Okay.
I'm way behind
Okay.
the curve on that
Totally
one.
honest. Being totally honest, I have not seen the musical, but I have read the book Wicked.
I have not read the book.
Okay. I I enjoyed the book, but I don't think I would like the musical as much, just because when I was growing up, my mother actually had a first edition of the L. Frank Baum series, the entire series,
Oh wow,
which we read just at least once a year.
wow.
Just dove through the whole things, and I love those so much. I like the new take on Wicked, I really do, but at the same time, part of me is like, that's not how it goes.
Right, right, right. See, I've only ever read Wizard of Oz. I've never read any of the sequels.
Mm. I recommend them. I think they're fantastic, except for the last chapters.
Really?
Because of the times and because it was for kids, he had a lot of every book he would introduce a lot of new characters and new
Right.
ideas and stories and stuff. But you'd get some kids who were like, "Well, where's my favorite character?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he would like write the book, and then he would put like a prologue, an epilogue. Yeah, I'm awake. He would put an epilogue chapter where everybody comes and celebrates at the Emerald City. And, oh,
Yeah.
look, you've got your characters from here and characters from here. And he has to give them one line or one thing to do for each character. And you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, all right.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah, you weren't necessary for the story at all, but thank you for showing up. Okay, all right, keep going. Keep going, keep going. Those I did not like, but the books I loved. And the letters in the beginning I absolutely adored, because he had been getting fan letters of people literally saying, with the use of the aeroplane, can we fly to Oz now?
Oh wow.
And he had to say, well, I've been in contact with the wizard and Glinda, and they
Yeah.
have assured me that they have a new spell that prevents Oz from being seen even from the air.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's
That is
fantastic.
awesome.
It's fantastic. I never got much into his son's books of Oz or his grandson's books of Oz, because I think that's pushing it a little bit. But
See, I didn't even know they existed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, but as a rule, I tend to hate musicals. I'm really not a fan of them in general.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw Wicked, some of those songs I would recommend it. Some of the songs are really powerful.
I'm familiar with a few of the songs, and those I do enjoy. Yeah, Defying Gravity is just fantastic.
Defying Gravity is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And between me and you and your listeners, there's a song in season 5 that's based on that.
Ooh, okay. That's awesome. Actually, one of the Swedish voice of Luna is actually a musical theater person, and she has put out her own version of Defying Gravity, where she does all 3 voices.
Oh, wow.
I'll link it to you afterwards, but her name is Fina Keeley, and she's a wonderful person. But yeah, she's done Defying Gravity and Wicked, and she cosplays as Zafalba every year.
No! Oh, that's cool.
She get green paint on her all of her skin. Oh, it's fantastic.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Well, real fast, I would like to relate that in. Speaking on songs, you wrote a song in season 1.
Oh,
kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, in theory I did.
Well, it rhymes. And it's got the meter.
Yeah.
But
it kind of rhymes.
Kind of rhymes. It kind of has the meter. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Was that one of your first times writing music? Well, it's not the music, but the lyrics.
Very first time.
Okay.
I'd never done that before. And I tried too hard, you know what I mean? It was like I didn't go for the easy rhyme. I tried to I'll be fancy, and what ended up happening was messing up tenses and things that don't make any sense in English.
Yeah. I think it's a charming song, and I view it as she's a teenager. Of course she's going to sing a song and make up a song that's, not as great as something we would say, but
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That you could find a way in universe to make that, to excuse my ridiculous lyrics.
I have been occasionally given the nickname Spackle. I'm pretty good at creating ways that I can imagine they go together. And yes, that makes total sense. Okay, good. Okay.
Well, if Ingram and Stephen Andrews had not created such a great song, tune, I think I would have been more exposed. And the fact that it's such a short song.
Yeah, that's got to be. Yeah.
There's no. And it's supposed to be a little bit over the top.
Right.
I've done this panel at a couple of conventions this year, analyzing the Cutie Mark Chronicles. Not analyzing, but just going through the implementation of it and the creation of it.
Yeah.
And when I get to that part, it does say in the script it's a ridiculous, over the top, musical extravaganza kind of thing.
Right.
So I wasn't going for anything particularly serious.
Sure.
But that doesn't excuse the awful, awful lyrics.
Well, I mean, just comparing that to the season 3 finale, it's very obvious that by that point you were working with Daniel and were able to at least say, okay, I know what you can do. I'm going to put as bare minimum as I can, change it as you will, because I know what you do.
No,
not at all?
Not at all.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Daniel's in a different country.
Yeah.
We don't ever speak to them. Mm-hmm. It's really weird the way the show works. We don't ever talk to anybody. It's all freelance.
Okay.
I wrote a bunch of tracks for that just didn't get used. And things like, I don't know what it's called. I've got to find a way or something.
Okay, yeah.
That was 100% added by him. I didn't have a song there.
Okay.
In fact, that episode changed a whole lot.
Well, I'm sure.
My final finished lock script is after the first 5 minutes is entirely different from what ended up being used.
Okay.
It's sort of a parallel story.
Gotcha.
But it's very, 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 very different. My script never once mentioned Starswirl the Bearded or there's just a bunch of things in there that I never had in there that somebody somewhere along the line added. Okay. My initial script was based on Pandora's Box.
Ah, okay.
And Twilight quite literally got a box at her door. As a crate came, special
Okay.
delivery from Canterlot, and had a
Mhm.
note saying, "Twilight, you're ready for your next stage of learning. Here's some materials we're going to use. Do not open this until I come tomorrow."
Mhm.
Princess Celestia. And so
Okay.
and so then you have Twilight stewing like, "Oh my gosh, how can I not open this? This is who knows what's in there. The most cool magical stuff ever is in this box."
Yeah.
And then she quite literally opens Pandora's box.
Okay. That's
And
out.
so
Oh.
she never chants any kind of spell out loud or anything like that.
Mhm. Huh.
And so the end my ending of Act 1 was Twilight saying, "Spike, send a letter to the princess. We need her help. I've done something horrible here." So she writes a letter. Spike writes a letter to the princess, telling her what happened, and a letter comes back and it says, "My faithful student Twilight Sparkle, what have you done?"
Oh my.
Commercial. And I think what that gives you is even Celestia doesn't know how to fix this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the complaints I saw was, "Oh, she made the mess, then she fixes it. It's so easy. Why is this enough to warrant her getting wings?"
Mhm.
And in my script, it was something that even Celestia couldn't fix. She had to create new
Interesting.
magic to ascend to this next level.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the way that it worked in my script, which didn't end up happening, was there was a book that had the spell in it, and the letters. When she figured it out, the letters rose up off the page, and they kind of glowed, and they rearranged themselves in space, and then set back down on the book,
Huh.
which I think
Okay.
is a really cool visual. That she's
Yeah.
she's she's written new magic, not literally written it with a pen.
Mhm.
She's rearranged magic to make new magic, and to me,
Gotcha. Okay.
that was the big thing that let her ascend,
I see. Okay.
and
Well,
that
that's an
got
interesting aspect.
changed. And I
Huh.
had a whole song after called Twilight's First Flight.
Oh, interesting.
Rainbow Dash and Twilight Sparkle flew all over Equestria.
Nice.
Stephen Magnet had a song. Yeah, I mean, it was radically different. It was the
Huh.
same basic things that happen,
Okay.
but entirely different. And my song are
I'm going to surmise that if they had allowed the season 3 finale to be 2 episodes, it probably would have adhered to yours more.
well, I asked, first thing I did
But
when I was getting this one was, can I do it as two? Because this is
yeah,
a big.
right.
This was the end of the show. It's supposed to be the end of the show.
Right. I had heard that.
And so I'm like, we're gonna end the show in a half hour. Like, let's take an hour, but it just wasn't in the cards for whatever reason. It just
Right.
wasn't there.
Hmm.
So then we decided to do it as a musical because you can cover more ground and it felt more special.
Sure, montages. Right.
Yeah, more stuff can happen with music. So that's why it became a musical. And then long after I'd submitted my final draft, they picked up a season 4. And
Gotcha.
I remember hearing that and just being, oh, what are they going to do now? Like, the show's over. Like, what happens with Twilight and the wings and everything?
Mm-hmm.
And they figured it out. I mean, some of that stuff actually from the season 4 premiere, like how the Everfree Forest was taking over,
Mm-hmm.
that was in my script for
Okay.
the season
Yeah.
3 finale. Rainbow
Okay.
Dash she was being trapped by the forest, not the animals.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
Megan just took that idea and just moved it to the season 4 premiere
Okay.
to sort of extend that season 3 finale into season 4.
Sure. Huh.
Which she had to deal with because she was in the same boat as me, as thinking the show is over, and then
Right.
all of a sudden it's like, surprise.
Oh my.
So Megan had to find a way to turn that half hour into an
Mm-hmm.
hour.
I know it's something nobody's ever going to be able to talk about, but at the very least, I hope that when it's all said and done, Pony is given a decent finale.
Yeah,
I think,
I
yeah,
think I agree.
I think a lot of sitcoms and whatnot. I think it's a shame that I don't remember Seinfeld as well as I should, just because of the disappointing finale.
The finale was horrible for Seinfeld.
Actually, I have a theory on why that is.
Yeah.
I think if you just watch the finale, it's not bad because it's a recap of the entire show. However, I think NBC at the time, wasn't it? NBC?
Yes.
Yeah. NBC, the entire hour before the finale was a recap of the entire show. And then we show this episode, which is a recap of the entire show.
Yeah.
And I think a
Yeah.
large part of that was like, why just watch that? Why?
You
They
know, the
couldn't
part of the
write something
problem for
else?
me was that it was all about. It was this weird trial
Mm-hmm.
where you're not really hearing from any of the 4 main characters. You're hearing from lawyers
Yeah, that's
and
true.
background players and Yeah, I do agree. It was a nice retrospective of the whole show, but it
Hmm.
just felt strange to have the four main characters sitting there silent, watching what's happening.
Yeah.
And then them all ending up in a jail cell together. I don't know. It just felt really mean spirited. I never thought the show was that mean.
Right.
A lot of people say that the show is about four narcissistic people who only care about themselves, and I never really saw the show that way.
No, I mean they're not perfect, but I never saw them as being screw humanity. I'm going to go with me.
Yes, and that's what the ending of the series was
Yeah.
screw humanity.
Yeah.
Their own personal hell is that they all have to stay with each other now for all time. But
I
I
mean,
don't
total
know.
props up. The absolute last line, the last thing they talk about, the top button on the shirt, that was the first thing they talked about in the first episode.
That's cool. I like stuff like that.
That's cool. That's cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, overall, it's a shame because I remember really liking the show, and then I think about the finale, I'm like, eh. And I
Yeah.
really hope that Pony's able to get a very decent finale where we finish and go, that was a great story.
Right. 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 I
That's
agree.
that's my one hope. Give everybody wings and horns, make sea ponies appear, and have griffins appear, and all of a sudden 28 new Apple family member. Fine, just give me a good ending. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I agree.
Well, a question that I ask in each of my interviews, and you're in a bit of a different position here, but in all of My Little Pony, what would you say is the one line or one scene that defines you the most?
Oh wow.
Rather proud of this
Um,
question, to be
yeah, it's a
honest.
good question.
I don't know that anybody else has asked it as of yet, but
Um, it's really hard to say because you know what? It's probably what's difficult to say about it is in the early seasons with Lauren and Rob Renzetti, who's the story editor.
mm,
There was such a collaboration in the room of just throwing out ideas and maybe this one sticks and then you take that person's idea and you build on it and
sure, sure.
it's really hard to say who came up with what.
Right, right,
I wrote the episodes like Sonic Rainboom. I wrote the whole thing,
right.
but the ideas behind it we all came up with together.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be from a show that you wrote per se. Just if it's something that really speaks out to you, that would.
So to me, it's probably the Pinkie Pie's story in Cutie Mark Chronicles because that was
Okay,
my idea. The rock farm was my idea. I
gotcha.
remember pitching it in the room, and Lauren thought it was great, so we put it in. And
Hmm,
to
hmm.
me, it says so much about her character
Yeah,
that the way that she throws this party, her parents come in, and she's just devastated that they don't feel it like she does.
right,
And then their smiles appear, and for her, it's like total validation of her entire being.
right. Okay, I
So
can
it's
see
a
it.
funny, bizarre, weird Pinkie Pie rock farm. Like doesn't make any sense.
Hmm, hmm.
It's all of her enveloped in one scene,
Gotcha.
and then it ends on this really nice emotional beat. So
Yeah. Okay.
I like that because it's got everything. It's got weird comedy
Yeah.
and emotion.
Yeah, because really it should be a quarry if it's rocks. But hey, whatever. Okay, farms. We're
Oh
growing
no, you
rocks.
got to
Okay.
It's a farm. Yeah, no, you got to
Yeah. Yeah.
harvest them.
Hmm, hmm. Wondering if they grow the rocks or wait for them to get worn away. Okay. It's the basic rule of fiction is the more you think about it, the less sense it's going to make. Which
Yes, especially with Pinkie Pie.
yes, especially with Pinkie Pie, and even the ending when she comes out of that sequence and just says, "And that's how Equestria was made." But later I'll tell you how I got my cutie mark. Wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. Exactly. It's just the right way to come back from Pinkie Pie's story,
Yeah,
and that's how Equestria was made.
very nice.
I love those. I love those early days of the show where it wasn't such a huge hit and there
Hmm.
weren't so many people watching, and you could just experiment like that. And
Yeah.
I threw that in as a transition, and that's how Equestria was made. And Lauren liked it, and there it is. Just stayed. So you could just try things and like, is this work? Is this funny? It's in character, so yeah, let's
Hmm.
do it.
I don't know why, but I just imagined that real quick line from 12 Angry Men where it's that one juror who's really nervous about what everyone says and everybody's getting tense and he just says, well, let's just throw it to the wall and see what sticks. And everybody looks at him and starts laughing and the mood breaks and he's looking around like, what are they laughing at? What are they laughing at? Oh, yeah, it's funny. I said, ha ha ha.
Right. Yeah, but Pinkie Pie doesn't realize that she's saying anything
Hmm.
strange.
Yeah. To her, it's just, and then we go off on this, and
Yes.
you're left to wonder what's going on, and I'm not going to answer it for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, everybody, today we have been speaking with M.A. Larson. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Be sure to get your copy of Pennyroyal, the first in a series of books, which will be a series of movies. And, all right, you may not be able to answer this, but I know that before the book came out, you said it was a trilogy, and then later I asked about that, and you said I'd have to check with somebody before answering.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. In my mind, it's a trilogy.
Okay.
But I only sold 2.
Okay.
So if enough copies of book 1 sell, then they'll have to buy the third one.
Gotcha.
But I'm proceeding as though it's a trilogy.
Okay. So it might be a just duo, and the third book is self-published.
Yeah, exactly.
With like a
Worst
giant
case scenario.
script stapled together and buy my copies.
That's right. On the back of the car.
Yeah, to be honest, that's a much better answer than what I thought. I honestly thought you'd be saying, oh, well, now they want to make it into 6. And I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
6 would be pushing it, but okay. Hey, trilogy is absolutely doable. Fantastic.
Trilogy,
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, the trilogy, too, the nice thing about a trilogy is that so much of Grimm's fairy tales, the number 3 is such an important thing.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3 comes up so often in those Grimm's fairy tales, so I just kind of stay true to that, too.
One of the classes I took in university was actually stories and storytelling. And they were mentioning how in most Native American tales, 4 was the number that people would follow. So it's really odd to hear, because, we're used to, they try something, it fails. They try something, it fails. They try something, it works.
Yes.
But in their stories, it would be try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, and works. And
fascinating.
It's really throws you for a loop. Just listening to the story, you're like, wait, it didn't succeed the third time? What?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's crazy.
But yeah, apparently 3 is the number worldwide, except for Native American myths.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's check that out.
You could throw everybody a loop and just say it's a trilogy, and then 4th book is coming with a conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. Surprise!
Yeah.
Not 3.
Everybody, be sure to pick up Pennyroyal, and if you're into it, watch this pony show, I guess.
Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing.
Follow him on Twitter and Vine and Instagram, which he's getting the hang of.
Yeah, if you want to see no updates ever, follow me on Instagram and Vine.
No, see, that's perfect. You get the Instagram, you put one picture out, and then you just say, I was here before it was cool. It's just nothing anymore.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I also have a YouTube channel that has one video and will never have more than one video. So
my goodness.
Subscribe to that too.
Yes. And check out the Facebook page that is rarely updated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get all my non-updates and all over the place.
I approve of this. We'll get the least updates possible.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I can do that. Unfollow me on Twitter and follow all those other ones if you want no updates.
Yep. So recently, Leakfish had something signed by you where you said that Flutterdash is canon.
Yes.
And a picture came up more recently that said that Appledash is canon.
Yes.
So I know it's going to drive her nuts for you to say this, but is there any ship that is not canon at this point?
No, I'll canonize anything. Do you have any requests?
I
don't entirely understand shipping, so I don't care. Whatever you want.
I would like a Twilight Luna.
Just
call it a Night Sky.
Night Sky. Yeah. That's canon right there.
Woohoo! Well, again, thank you very much for coming by and speaking with us.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Everyone, this has been Osaka Jack with Into the Spotlight on Everfree Network. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, man.